Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. So we have a question for you. Are you ready for a mindset and money upgrade? If so, your plan is here. And this is going to be a 3-part podcast. It's obviously designed to motivate you. It's obviously designed to educate you and get you into action. So if you want the notes from today's podcast, which I'm sure you do, make sure you're subscribing to our free daily newsletter, which is called harrisrealestatedaily.com. And all you've got to do is go over to harrisrealestatedaily.com. You got to drop in your email address, and then you're going to be added to the list. But remember to confirm that you want this subscription by going to your own email and just, clicking a little button and saying, yes, I want the newsletter. So just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. These notes, we always create our notes primarily for your own use, but also in case you want to reuse our notes for maybe you've got your own podcast, maybe you've got some social media you're doing, maybe you're looking to, educate your team or your brokerage or whatever. So download the notes. They're only available over at Harris Real Estate Daily. And also there's a lot of unique content we create just for that newsletter. So harrisrealestatedaily.com. So Julie, let's roll right in.
All right. As you said, this is a 3-part podcast series. Part 1 is how to deploy the 30-day gratitude and mindset challenge to upgrade that mindset. This is a great time of year to do that. And as a result, boost your success. It is true that in the fast-paced world of real estate, stress and frustration can quickly creep in. And don't you find that during the holidays that maybe comes to the surface a little bit more frequently for some?
Well, it does, because you have the anxiety. Hopefully I'm not, giving people anxiety by saying there's anxiety, right?
Exactly.
But I remember when you and I sold real estate, I always felt a lot of anxiety around the holidays because I was so used to being busy, so used to proactively lead generating and going on listing appointments and negotiating contracts. And then all of a sudden things are just like, slow, if not completely flatlined for like a week, 2 and 3 weeks. Then you're going, oh my gosh, no one's showing our listings.
What?
Exactly.
And then you have a seller call, I want to take a break till after the holidays. And then a couple buyers say, I just want to enjoy the holidays. I'll see you in January. So we are aware because, we did sell real estate for a living for a long time. So we feel that. But here is your powerful antidote, and also appropriate for, again, going into the holidays, and that is gratitude. Taking a few minutes daily to express genuine thanks can change your mindset, elevate your success, and improve your relationships. But we changed this a little bit this go around to make this a habit, and we're going to do a 30-day gratitude challenge. Here's how it works. 3 bullet points here. First, choose one action each day. Select a gratitude practice from the list we're giving you over the next 3 days. You can follow the list in order, or you can pick and choose based on what resonates most. You can even repeat a point if something extra resonates with you. Second point is to reflect on your progress. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on how it felt to express gratitude and any positive responses that you noticed. And your third bullet point here is to track that progress. We've created a gratitude habit tracker, and there's a link below in the notes to keep track of your daily actions. Note how each practice made you feel, what you learned, and any positive feedback you received. This may be a way to get them to have more conversations during the holidays and, of course, organically talk about real estate. We're just doing it under the umbrella of gratitude.
Well, also, again, knowing that there's a lot of stress, a lot of people go through a lot of seeing family members that maybe you don't want to see,
Sure.
Having conversations maybe that you don't want to have. We just came off one of the, I think, most torrid political seasons of our lifetimes, and there's a lot of
right
people.
Before Thanksgiving. That was great.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be, a lot of people are going to be at heightened sense of all, negative emotions, really. And in those cases, especially if you're in a community where there's a lot of confusion, there is a lot of confusion that's happening in the country, you have to be empathetic and be sympathetic. You have to, walk the line of having a mindset that's going to be tuned into what other people are experiencing and feeling, and at the same time, not absorbing their negative emotions. And that's the hardest part of being successful as a real estate agent. It's showing emotion without being emotional. And y'all ought to remember that. You got to write that down.
That's a real skill.
It is. Well, we learned it our first year because I remember we had a seller, and she was losing like an enormous amount of money on her house. She had to sell the house. We didn't sell it to her. And so, we weren't.
I remember this distinctly, by the way.
Hazel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember it distinctly too because she was crying. It was awful. I think she ended up losing like $75,000. And this was what, 96 or 95 or 94 or something like that. Anyway, we went to our broker and Rory, and we asked him, like, this is kind of eating us alive because we feel so sorry for her. And she didn't ask us to cut our commission or anything like that. And, obviously these were our formidable years in real estate, so every sale mattered. And this one was taking an absolute ton of time. Oh, by the way, this was like a 3-time expired. And this was the only offers that it ever received.
And not during a housing crash, by the way.
Exactly. And he's the one that told us, show emotion without being emotional. So how would you do that? You'd say things like, listen, I'm sorry you're going through this. There's scripts, by the way, that Julie and I evolved over the last 30 years that, essentially gives you the words to say so you don't have to think it. But the essence of it is show emotion by saying, listen, I'm sorry, Bob, you're going through all this. This must be awful for you. And then, you want to pivot and get them to face forward. So I'm sure you'll agree once this house is sold, that'll be one less thing for you guys to worry about than, those types of things. And the real hard part is, and especially if you're more amiable in nature, if you're more of a feeling person yourself, is not internally absorbing their emotions. Why am I telling you all this? Because that is going to be the death, that'll kill your potential if you start absorbing other people's emotions. And other people's emotions are going to be amok in the next 2 or 3 months.
For sure.
Especially over the holidays. So you got to put yourself in a plane, a mental, emotional, spiritual, if you will, plane, where you're not going to be so likely to absorb other people's emotions. You can also still, make a contribution towards their lives in a meaningful way by being the best version of yourself as a real estate agent. And the way to do that is definitely by keeping yourself in the state of gratitude. Because here's the thing that's interesting about the state of gratitude. And I have had other people trying to explain this to me because I struggle with understanding why this is so powerful. But this goes all the way back to biblical teachings. Every major religion's always talked about this. And if you attribute specific qualities to somebody that you admire, you will, come around to realizing that what they probably have figured out how to do is keep themselves in a state of gratitude. It's not about them. It's about being grateful. They don't use a lot of personal pronouns like I and me. No, I'm not being political. For those of you who are very triggered, be careful. I'm not being political. I'm just, being factual. They want to focus on you. They want to have conversations about you, how they can help you. And the best way to do that is to be in a state of gratitude yourself. Now, how do you, observe this within yourself. So how do you feel right now? Right? How do you feel? Like, where's Tim going with all this? Okay, well, confusion maybe is how you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling happy. Maybe you're feeling sad, scared. Doesn't matter what. Now, I want you to think about one, maybe 2 things that you're really grateful for. And it doesn't have to be something super complicated. It could be the very fact that you're listening to this podcast and you're getting something from it. It could be the fact that you're alive. It could be the fact that you've got a dog that loves you. It could, you don't have to search.
You live in the Midwest and it's still 70 degrees.
Yeah, there you go, right? So search for things, and it shouldn't be that difficult because you're surrounded with blessings because you are alive. That you should be, in gratitude for. And then focus on that feeling. Focus on the feeling of appreciation. Now, here's the strange part that I was alluding to earlier that I don't understand, is when you are putting yourself in a state of gratitude, when you're actually feeling those emotions of gratitude, no matter how torrid your own inner emotional state was before, once you're in that state of gratitude, those 2 emotional states can't coexist inside of anybody. And if you allow yourself, and it takes practice, to stay in that state of gratitude, just game yourself, right? What are the things you're most grateful for? And Julie's going to give you some ways to actually solidify those emotions and actually make them a permanent part of who you are. And then you can have that je ne sais quoi that other people are attracted to. But the more you stay in that sense of gratitude, the more you're going to attract other people to you because they like your stoic nature. They like your calmness. They like the energy that you bring. They like the fact that when they're around you, they feel kind of amazing and they don't understand why. It's because they probably are a big firestorm of emotions and everyone else they know that it is. But when they're around Bob just has got this weird quality that's just loving. It's just amazing. And that's what they want more of. You understanding what we're getting at here? But start by putting yourself in a state of gratitude and just feel yourself changing everything. I mean, literally you stand taller, you breathe differently, you certainly interact with people differently. You're not attracted to the same sort of, gratuitous garbage. You're not doom scrolling, all the things. You cannot attract, and I'll use the real word, evil in your life when you're in a state of gratitude.
That's very true. And, I believe that gratitude is stronger than any of the other negative swirling that many people experience in a normal holiday season or in a normal any month. And then you add, the stress of the election, you add the holidays, you add all these things. Gratitude is far more powerful than any of the other things. I was listening to actually a mortgage broker interviewed earlier today, And he said the biggest concern he has about his mortgage broker, people on his team, is that they won't take action because they're feeling stress.
Right.
And, and the question was, well, what are you doing about that? He said they have to go to training. They have to feel gratitude. We're going to do a party for them. It was all like really positive reinforcement. But I do think that even if you don't feel like doing some of these things, you have to take action, lead with the action first.
Well, you call it habit stacking, and I know there's a lot written on that. But if you combine, for example, exercising, putting yourself in a physical motion, and then going down and maybe mentally or even having an audio recording of all the things, your own voice recording of all the things in your life that you're grateful for, I promise you guys, that is the ultimate elixir to all that ails you, especially when it comes to your mindset.
Yeah, that's right. I heard you on a coaching call yesterday talking about getting back into control. I think that's a big issue when people feel stress is because they feel like they don't have control of anything. You mentioned working out. That's huge. It's a great place to start. So we mentioned that you can download the Gratitude Habit Tracker PDF. That's in the notes. Tim told you how to get the notes.
Right, Harris Real Estate Daily. So the links that Julie's going to be referring to, I see it, Julie.
Yep.
The links are all there, but you got to get the notes. Subscribe to harrisrealestatedaily.com. It doesn't cost you anything. And then just click obviously the link to the PDF in the notes from today's show.
Yes, and there's lots of links in these 3 podcasts that we're doing. All right, so now that you're set up with your Gratitude Habit Tracker PDF, you can dive into the first 6 gratitude practices. Again, we're going to be sprinkling more upon you over the next 3 podcasts to bring positivity, strengthen your relationships, and open the door for new opportunities. Guess what? People will also be transacting over the next 60 days as we finish out this year. So let's start with one of my favorites. Number 1, this is something every single one of you listening can do. That is to write 5 thank you notes, I would say, or congratulations notes, every day. Sending handwritten notes can make a significant impact. Choose quality stationery and use a favorite pen. My favorite ones are from minted.com, that they do personalized high quality cards, finestationery.com, that they have super nice options. Papyrus is a little bit less expensive but very unique for again artistic designs. Don't just throw it on like your Remax stationery.
Well, but the reason that you want to use proper stationery is because people will keep it.
They do keep it, and it is also a sign of manners. It's a sign of respect. It's just a good thing to do.
And look, if you don't know what to write because you're not in the habit of writing personalized notes, you can use your new friend ChatGPT and tell Chat what you're after. Like, I want to start writing a letter or a short note to 10 different people a day, showing gratitude, and you can even put in specific qualities of each person. And I promise you, ChatGPT will write the most beautiful, elegant, short, and then just copy what it says and hand write it onto a note. And you can use like different things like different color ink, things like that. Please don't hit the lazy, overly expensive button and just use one of those automated services that do it for you.
It's not as personalized.
Well, they pay too much. I mean, the average, there's services out there. An agent types in what the message is supposed to be, and then it uses a Mont Blanc pen, which is all great, and writes on this really heavy cardstock, and then mails it the whole thing and does it all right. Hand addresses the outside of the envelope, puts a hand-affixed stamp on it. All the things we want you to do, but you end up paying like between $5 and $10 per thing. Why? Well, exactly.
What are you doing? It's the thought that counts, people.
It's like, what are you trying to save here?
I know, that's right. And I have to say, you can also look, this is a great place to use social media. Maybe we have a friend that just won a pickleball tournament, and they have a little post on Facebook. You can put that into chat. You can say, my friend just did this, write something that's unique to them. And then you just scroll it out and send the card. 5 a day is the mission here, guys.
But don't overthink it. You could always start out with, I was just thinking of you.
Sure.
I remember something you said to me. I've always wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you because, again, those 5 little notes that you do every single day, if you do make that into a part of your daily routine, we've had coaching clients that have done that. You guys have probably come across people that talk about that on TED Talks and whatnot. It is so amazingly powerful, but do not shortcut it. Do it in your own handwriting, even if you don't have great handwriting. And they will keep that card, especially if you wrote something that touched them.
100%.
And if you're not a good, at writing those types of things, again, lean into chat and it will show you what to say.
You know what I was just thinking that made me laugh? I kept a card that Delta put on my seat saying, thanks for being a great Delta client, because it was a handwritten card on nice cardstock, and I turned it into a bookmark on the way home. Yeah, you're right. People do keep it, even silly things like that. Okay, point number 2, keep a gratitude journal. Use a journal that you love. I've included some links for you to find some cool stuff. Amazon is full of gratitude-specific journals if you want to do it that way. But each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. I recommend you do this before you go to sleep, because that's a great place to end the day. Reflect on small moments like a friendly exchange or a new opportunity. As I was reading that, I was thinking about, yesterday, a kind of a semi-distant friend came into the gym and like she noticed that I changed my makeup and she gave me a really nice compliment. And I was thinking like,
Somebody noticed you changed your.
I know.
Hold on.
Not today. Yesterday.
You changed your makeup.
I know you're looking at me funny. And she like really liked my pinkish eyeshadow or something.
Oh,
But she
okay.
was like really gratuitous about it, and I hadn't seen her in probably since the summer. And I actually thought about that like 3 or 4 times during the day. It was just the tiniest little thing, right? So that would be one little tiny thing for a gratitude journal. That could have been, something that just made my day. Little things go a long way, guys. What you don't want to do is hole up and do your doom scrolling and wait for January. All right, number 3.
But that's everything. It's like.
Yeah.
I remember when you and I first started going to Orange Theory when we moved to Georgetown, Texas, before we moved to Puerto Rico. And the Orange Theory was opening up, and I think they were opening up in like their launch date was like October, November.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I originally planned to not starting to go to Orange Theory until our original plan was just wait to the new year like everybody else. But we started going in October, and by the time that January rolled over, we already were in the habit of working out, and frankly already in
So much
better shape. That we just kept on doing it. Now, had we started at the beginning of the year when everyone else does, when the gym would have been packed, when there would have been hardly any open spots for classes, we would probably gotten frustrated and rationalized not doing it. So again, this is the perfect time of year to be building momentum into next year.
And good habits.
And if you don't really feel the energy that you want to have now, stop thinking that you're going to somehow magically create it in 90 days. Create it now. Start building on it now. That way, when you roll into the year, you're going to have a huge advantage. It's almost like a cheat code for like if you were in a race, you're in a running race, but you get to start halfway through on the race, halfway down the track versus all your competitors that are still at the starting line. So that's a good way of thinking about it.
Very well said. All right, number 3, say a kind word. Get into the habit. Do this every day. Compliment somebody specifically, maybe their work ethic or their kindness, or maybe an agent you're doing a deal with that they always call you back or they always answer their phone. You could say something like, I admire how you always go the extra mile for your clients, or you're always on top of things when we transact together. Think of kind things to say. You can change the tone of all relationships, even maybe you're having a contentious deal, but you find something nice to say about the other agent or your client, something like that. It goes such a long way. I have made this a habit. I'm a terrible morning person. I don't like getting up in the morning. I don't like waking up to an alarm code or an alarm. I don't like that. So what I try to do between the time that I take the kid to school and get back to do a podcast with you, I try to see there's teachers, there's even kids. I'll say, hey, Skylar, you look great today. I hope you have a really great day. I say hi to them because I want to do that for them, but I'm also doing that to keep my mindset strong because I got to take on the day when I get back.
Again, it goes back to biblical teachings, Julie. It's what you're reiterating here really explaining is if you want love, give love. If you want appreciation, give appreciation. If you want recognition, give recognition.
It does come right back at you.
Whatever you're seeking in life, you give it to other people and you'll get it back. And usually by like tenfold. It's like one of the best investments you could ever make is show whatever you are feeling. Like a lot of people get stuck in these quagmires, and sometimes it lasts like decades, where they're not feeling appreciated, where they're not feeling all the things, all the negative emotions. And so how do they treat other people? Exactly how they feel like they're being treated. Whereas in all reality, if they were just to simply start treating others like they want to be treated, within probably a week or two, all of those negative emotions would wash out of their bodies. It's incredible.
Do unto others kind of thing, right?
Well, it all goes back to essentially, these are all different versions of appreciation or,
Yes.
Essentially being in a almost contemplative state where you're really being consciously aware of how blessed you truly are in life. And that's what all this is about.
It is. And that's why we do something like this every November to remind everyone. Okay, number 4, and I'll talk about this in a second. Number 4, the point is listen like you mean it. Practice active listening by maintaining eye contact if you're in front of each other and not interrupting. After they finish, summarize what they said to show understanding. I have to say, I often listen to coaching clients' prospecting calls. And this is one of the biggest, most common mistakes is, maybe they're learning their scripts. I'll give them a little out for that. But I get this sense and this tension on the call because they're not really listening to what the person said. They're so anxious to jump on the end of the sentence. They're anxious to say the next part of the script. They're anxious to over pre-qualify them and look for a reason not to.
Well,
help
they're afraid to lose the call. They're afraid
Yeah.
to have the person jump off. They're afraid not to, like, they're counting a victory of just getting through the script, basically.
And that's what it sounds like, though.
Yeah, and they're not really listening. They're not on the call with the understanding that their true purpose of talking to that, say, expired seller is to be of service to them, to help them solve a problem.
Find a way to be of service.
Exactly. And that's really all prospecting, proactive lead generation. That's all it truly is. You're just essentially putting yourself out there using your skill set and your mindset to want to be of service to other people. That's all. That's it. That's the whole can of worms. That's really, truly what sales are. Like, if you're calling an expired listing, how do you think it feels to be that seller who basically had the market, potentially hundreds of people, just reject their home? Oh, by the way, this is a house where they've raised their family. This is a house that they've had a lot of pride in. All the things, all the memories, and all of a sudden the market rejects it. And how would you feel in that situation? Maybe you've had a house expire on you, your own personal one, right? So when you're on the phone with somebody and you're feeling all those feelings of anxiousness that cause you to not listen, that cause you to want to, just essentially be ineffective, it's because you're not focusing on your highest and truest purpose, which is being of service to the other person. When you really are focused on being of service to the other person that you're talking with, in the case of the expired seller, you're going to listen with the intention of helping. You're going to listen to the little nuanced inflections in their voice. You're going to be able to be sensitive to them and use your higher state, your intuition, if you will, to really know what to say and how to say it. And you're naturally going to slow down, and you're naturally going to be more effective. And by the way, you're naturally going to be more in tune with the person that you actually truly want to be, which is someone who's respected for actually helping other people solve their problems. And with that comes everything you want in life. The recognition comes, the money comes, the feeling of being somebody of significance comes. All the things that you want come from on the other side of basically a lot of the principles that Julie and I are helping and hoping that you allow yourself to be exposed to on today's show.
Yes, that is for sure. But you have to be consciously working on it. You can't just let things happen to you, right?
The next point's rather, is it what? Share a treat or gift?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was reading point number 6.
Oh,
anyway.
That's okay.
Point number 6 is a little self-serving, but that's good.
Yes, that's okay. Share a treat or a gift. Surprise a friend, a colleague, a neighbor with a coffee or a snack. You can use Starbucks gift cards, Venmo. There's an endless supply of pop-by ideas in our Premier Coaching session. This is a great time of year to do that. We always enact the wrapping paper project. Premier Coaching clients, elite coaching clients, you know what we're talking about. It's a super fun project. There's lots of examples that the coaches talk about.
And again, Premier Coaching, perfect time to be getting into Premier Coaching. Just go to premiercoaching.com or text the word Premier to 47372. And when you do, we'll text you back a link to join Premier Coaching. Or if you just go to premiercoaching.com, you can just join right away for free. And yes, it does give you 30 days of coaching for free, which it does include a daily semi-private coaching call with the Harris Certified Coach and all of the first level, of which I'd say the most important thing, in my opinion, the first level is the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan, which all of you should be completing this time of year. It really will give you a sense of calmness and direction when you have your business plan done. And again, it's not just a one-pager business plan. This is actually a book that Julie and I made into something that is more of like a fill-in document that you're supposed to keep for your own historical archives, right? And update it maybe twice, maybe 3 times a year with your new goals and essentially, adjust accordingly. Anyway, go to premiercoaching.com. And like I said, your first assignment when you log in for the first time is going to be downloading the Real Estate Treasure Map. Make sure you've got a lot of paper because I think it's like 60 or 70 pages.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right. Number 6, post a positive review. How many people are just so fast to post negative reviews? Nope. We want you to stick to positive reviews. Make a list of businesses you've appreciated recently and write a review on Google, Yelp, or their social media. You can mention specifics. It's so much more powerful when you are specific. Like the customer service that so-and-so at so-and-so company gave me was excellent. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you a story, Julie. I hadn't told you this. Okay. So I wrote a really great review for Westside Collector Car Storage, Matt Farah's business out in LA. Mm-hmm. And so I took some time. I did use chat, and I did create something. Me and AI created something, and I posted on his Google Business Reviews page. And that was it. That was the extent of it. And he did a great job. Matt Farah, if you guys are a car person, he's kind of famous. He was on Top Gear US.
He's got a podcast, I think.
All kinds of things, yeah. Anyway, so he was very appreciative of it, and that was the end of it. Okay, then I get a message from Google Business. is saying that review. Did I not tell
No,
you
you
any of
didn't
this?
tell me this.
Oh, it's
I know
like
you did it, but
so the review itself, just the thing that I wrote, essentially went viral. And it's been read like thousands. It's been read like thousands of times,
Really?
but it's been
That's cool.
shared over 1,000 times. And his business is not that big.
No.
So people took what I wrote and they were sharing it with other people.
That's
And he
awesome.
wasn't marketing it. He didn't even know about it. So when I mean, that tells you how attentive he was. So when I sent him the thing I got from Google saying how popular the review had become, he was, again, he was
Over
really
the moon.
surprised.
Yeah.
But here's what I really learned from that. So I was curious. That's very, so it was Tim and Julie Harris. And it was attached to our, I wrote it from our, essentially, it wasn't anonymous, and no alias, nothing like that. Tim and Julie Harris posted this comment on Westside Collector Car Storage. Okay, so that's all fine. That actually created a lot of traffic from that review I wrote back to our Google business page, which caused people to actually check into us and find out more about information on us and actually write us positive reviews. None of this was contrived. So why am I telling you this? Because when you write a really well-written positive review, when a business or a restaurant, or it just doesn't even matter what, that's going to create its own energy. It's almost like there's almost like a gratitude engine inside some of, Yelp wasn't like this. Yelp was a little bit corrupt, if you ask me. But Google definitely puts emphasis or puts a lot of juice behind positive reviews. Yelp would put emphasis behind negative reviews, and then they would try to sell the businesses into spending money on advertising to essentially make the negative reviews go away. Google Business doesn't do that. So I also encourage all of you to leave positive reviews. Use your real business name. If you're Bob Smith Real Estate, make sure you have a Bob Smith Real Estate Google business page, and then post your reviews and logged in, from that same account. And then you'll get the love back to you. And this is a little weird thing that I learned about their algorithm that I did not know. I've never heard anyone say it before.
Cool.
Had I not taken the time to write that lengthy review for Matt, I certainly would have known about it. But you guys ought to think about doing that as well. And I am going to be self-serving, and I am going to tell you a good place for you to start is by giving Julie and I a great review, assuming we merit it. And I'm after listening to us, for a half hour a day, and thousands of you listen to us every day. Hopefully more of you like us than don't. Though I do think we had last podcast we did where we made the sinful mistake of having the word Donald Trump in the title of when he was won as president.
I know.
I had some people that obviously didn't listen to the podcast, didn't know anything about what the content was, that were, triggered by it. But, assuming, those types of things aside, the moral of the story is a positive review seems to create its own energy, which will definitely benefit you. And it goes back to like, if you want positive reviews, leave positive reviews for other people,
You get
Isn't it weird
good
though?
unintended consequences that way.
You do. Well, like opening the door for something,
Sure.
the act of gratitude. When you're just simply, just all these tips that you've given us on this first day, it just resonates. And you're right. This time of year, everyone needs to be in that vibe. So maybe you're the one that's feeling underappreciated. Maybe you're feeling abandoned. Maybe you're feeling unloved. Maybe you're feeling just all kinds, you're just awash with negative emotions. The hack for it, I hate all these stupid words, but it really is a hack, or the trick, or the emotion, whatever you want to call it.
The antidote.
Okay, there you go. Much more classy way of saying it. Is going to be starting to show gratitude towards other people. Starting to show overt appreciation towards other people. Even if you don't feel it, force yourself to do it. And then it's like going to the gym, How many of you feel like going to the gym? I don't. Julie never does. We never, And then once you're there for 15 or 20 minutes, then you start feeling like you want to be there. The endorphins kick in. These are all the things that you have experienced in your life. But if you're not where you want to be energy-wise, mindset-wise, financially, you can go back. You can, put into all these, points that we just shared with you into action. Costs you nothing. And guess what? It's going to make you feel great. And it's going to make you feel more present so you can enjoy these, the holiday season and enjoy the end of this year. And there is going to be a lot of opportunity for you to take some time off and, be grateful. But if you're doom scrolling mentally, emotionally, and physically, chances are you're going to roll into next year with all kinds of negative energy, and you're going to have a terrible year, because how you start your year really does have a direct, especially in real estate. All your lead generation, all your activities that you're going to do that are create spring activity, which then creates summer activity. If you're having to dig yourself out of your own self-dug hole, how are you ever going to have that mindset to go out and attract new people into your life? So hopefully this is resonating with all of you.
Well, so make the decision that you're not going to be stuck for the rest of this year, because what you do, as we often remind you, how you operate fourth quarter, and we're almost halfway through that, determines how your first quarter is going to be. So make the decision to control your mindset, control your outcome, control your success, and also set the example for your clients, for your family, for your friends, everybody that's around you. And I would say even especially if you don't feel like doing that, those of you who are listening and saying, God, I don't know if I can do that. It's you who need to do it the most.
Yeah.
Because you're the ones that we worry about the most. And, inaction is an action, right? And that's causing you to go the opposite direction.
Lack of action is an action.
Right, exactly.
Complacency, doing nothing.
Yeah, that's why you leave a potato in the closet in the dark. You think that you left it there and forgot about it. You come back and it's growing this weird vine in the dark, right? It's doing that. So.
Listeners, you are not the interest rates. You are not the president. You are not politics. You are not the weather. You are not the border. You are not, what's happening.
Fill in the blank.
You're not any of those things. Step away from all of that crap. Give yourself a break. If this last election cycle hasn't proven to all of us how insidious and evil and contrived and how fake most of the things that we've been fed as being reliable sources of information, if you haven't been convinced of that yet, you probably will never be. Because it is all fake. That's one thing that everyone should be very, very clear about at this point. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You shouldn't either. So what do you do? And last little footnote before we end for today, and we're going to have 2 more days of hopefully, the same content. Mm-hmm. So if you really want to have a real quick cleanse of all your negative emotions in addition to all the things we said, and I'm probably stepping on one of Julie's future points. I know
That's
I am.
Okay.
Absolutely go media free.
Yeah.
Absolutely purge yourself.
You'll be so relieved.
Purge yourself from all forms of media.
Except podcasts.
Except our podcast. Right, exactly. No, but seriously, step away from the Facebook feed. Step away from all the things. Absolutely, completely go silent. Just do it for a day. And notice how full of anxiety you'll be because you're, oh my gosh, what happened? Who said what? Who blah, 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 blah. Then do it for a week. Then do it for a month. And then what's going to happen is you're going to go through the same phases of withdrawal that you would if you're getting off anything that you're addicted to, right? I don't know if you guys have ever gotten off caffeine or alcohol or anything like that. You do go through physical withdrawal. The same thing is going to happen if you withdraw from media. But the benefits are extraordinary because of nature abhors a vacuum. And as soon as you remove all those negative influences from the media from your life and you start to cleanse your soul, what's going to happen is it's going to leave a chasm of energy of where you're spending all the time filling your mind with all this negative crap. Just imagine if you didn't have all the negative crap in your head, what would the negative crap went back in? Absolutely it would. Nope. But if you didn't let it back in, then you're going to start rising to the truest form, the highest form of yourself. And, as far as in our little domain here as a real estate practitioner, but it all starts with the actions that you take. And this really is the perfect time of year.
Yes. All of our points are getting you back into action and getting you into control. And not just today, but all 3 days, it's costing you virtually no money and not that much time either. There's not a single one of you listening that can't do everything we talked about today.
That's right. So we are going to pick up tomorrow where we left off today. Have a fantastic day. And if you're wanting immediate homework, remember, become a subscriber to harrisrealestatedaily.com. It's free. You definitely want to become a Premier Coaching client at premiercoaching.com. You can join for the first 30 days for free. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.